Hey there. If this is your first time joining me, my name is Tara Walsh. I'm a business coach for beauty business owners. And this is Victoria Parrish. She is the owner of Lashtastic Lounge in Cartersville, North Carolina. She is also a coach trained by me on Team Lashpreneur. So, welcome. All right. And today we're going to really talk about this idea of hustle culture that we have really, even just over the last couple of years, really gone kind of anti-hustle culture. There's this belief that if I work harder than anybody else, then, or maybe I'll hustle now and enjoy myself later. And there's a lot more that you can start to enjoy your life now, start to get time freedom back, start to get financial freedom back if you start to focus on numbers. If you actually look at your business where you want it to go, start with the end in mind, and then you can kind of curate what you want to do with your business so that you're not overworking. It is a shift from the employee mindset to the CEO mindset. 100%. And I think that's where most people struggle when they're first starting out their business, is they haven't made that shift. So when you think back to when you were a solo provider before you hired a team, what do you label as like an employee mindset from back then?
Was that me being in the treatment room, hands-on, that I had to do everything like 24/7, working 24/7 to enjoy my thought of what I would obtain later in life, that I had to be so focused on being in the treatment room and working.
Yeah, because especially in the treatment room, when you're solo, that's where your money comes from. But then you have all of the administrative side of running a business. And so I don't know about you, but like I remember my son being 9 months old and sleeping in his crib, and I'd be in there blogging and like writing emails. Well, I called it like building my empire between nap time and nighttime because he was still super young.
I didn't set any time aside to do the administrative work during business hours. My administrative work was let me get home and be on my phone and not present with my husband, not present with my children. But like that's stuff that needs to get done. If you're not going to do that, how are you going to get clients? Right? But it's like I didn't think about like, okay, my business hours are from X to Y, whatever, during these
10 a.m. to 4.
Yeah. And I was like, no, that's when I'm hands-on with clients. I'll go home and do the other stuff. And
all of a sudden you're working 80 hours a week. And where I find a lot of people get into that hustle culture is that they do all of that. They keep adding more clients to the day, but they never end up paying themselves consistently. They don't know how to pay themselves consistently.
I didn't even pay myself until I started working with you.
It is
I
very
think that
common.
was like, 3 years in or something like that. And then finally started to pay myself.
Totes relatable. So how do you start to pay yourself? That's a great place to start, because I think a lot of people pour a lot of money back into the business, or there's something called Parkinson's Law. Have I ever talked to you? I don't think I've talked to you about that. So there's something called Parkinson's Law. Oh, look at Susie. And it's basically where you will spend to the amount that you earn. And so if you're not really intentional about focusing on the financials or the numbers of the business, you will continue to spend. And it's really, really, really hard to out-earn your spending. Yikes. So really what ends up happening is that you just keep trying to make more sales because you keep spending. And rather than looking at, do I need to decrease expenses? Do I need to increase sales but keep my expenses the same? That way, at some point, you're able to pay yourself, because your pay as the business owner will come from profit. And if you don't have profit in your business, you ain't got no pay.
No, that was huge, honestly, what you just said right there, because I was under the mindset of, oh, I'm reinvesting. I'm putting it back into the business. This is going to benefit me one day. But then I was noticing I'm putting back everything I keep bringing in, and there's never anything left over to actually pay myself. But I was like, oh, that's fine. But just keep putting it back in there. And then like, you're spending more.
2 years down the road, you're like, I can't afford a house because I've never paid myself. You're like, oh, that's weird. Or I can't get a car loan. Or you want to hire a team, but I get that all the time now. It's like, I want to hire a team. I'm like, okay, are you at a good income level yourself? And they're like, oh, I don't pay myself. It's amazing to me how many multiple 6 and even 7-figure business owners, one of the first things that we work on them with inside of our higher level programs is paying themselves.
Yeah.
Right. All right, beautiful. So Belger and Spa said, I recently took a day off my schedule so I can have an admin day. It makes such a difference. It really does.
Huge.
Yes. But most people would be concerned to do that because they're worried they're missing out on sales.
So that's another thing that we get to talk about is like, how do you start to actually give yourself that admin day?
Yeah.
It's not like, let's say you work 5 days a week. You don't just automatically, take one day off and that's admin day, which would be nice if you can. You could do that for sure.
Yeah, you could.
But start small. Maybe just set like 3 hours aside from one day for your admin work and start blocking off a little bit more of that schedule each time. It would be like a transition to get you there.
One of the things that my very, very first business coach told me is treat your business as if it's your most VIP client, because a lot of people will block out their admin day, or their admin hours to try and start a good regular consistency in being able to return emails or look at financials or, you know, post on social media or create content. And then a client will want to book over that time and they're like, oh, well, yeah, I blocked that off, but here, go ahead. And so oftentimes we make exceptions with clients based on the client schedule. And I think one of the most empowering things to switch from that employee mindset to that CEO mindset and get off of that hustle culture is really looking at what is it you're trying to create in your business.
Yes.
You are the business owner. And if you do not shift from that employee mindset to a CEO or business owner mindset, you will now find instead of one boss at a job, you have 30, 40, 50, 60 bosses, which we call clients, that then dictate when you work, for how much you work, what hours, what days, and you're constantly people pleasing, right? At the detriment of really why you probably started to get into business in your first place, which is having some time freedom, having control over your schedule, being able to make your own income. And I think that is where I see a lot of the flawed thinking in, well, my client wants that time. Then maybe that's not your ideal client.
Yeah.
Maybe working 7 days a week, 10 hours a day, it's not worth the money that you would be making because you've sacrificed your body, because this is not an easy game on the body. Making $100,000, $200,000 in sales at a pace that you can't maintain, yet you're building a lifestyle based on that income. Your body could break, or you might get burned out, and now all of a sudden you don't have that consistency of that income because it required you to work too much. That math ain't mathin', as I say.
It's definitely not. I think in the beginning for me, it was a little bit of a challenge, the mindset to break from it, because it's almost like you have so much. It's almost like you have so much like fear of like, oh, I'm going to lose that client. I'm going to lose that money.
Yep.
So something that Tara like talked me through was the CEO pay rate, which that was amazing. Your
hourly rate?
Yeah, hourly rate, to be like, okay, well, yeah, my time is better spent doing this than taking that one client. How much more can you obtain doing within that 1 hour?
Yeah, that really is a conversation about you only have so many hours in the day, and actually our time, we don't get any more of it. It's the most precious resource we have. And especially when we look at, if I am tracking myself as an hourly, like my hourly rate. So let's just say an hour fill is, gosh, I'm going to try and keep the math easy, $50, right? So if I work an hour and I can generate $50 in sales, well, what is it I'm doing that may be less than $50 an hour that I should be either outsourcing or eliminating off my schedule? We often talk about this when it comes to team building, that when you have a team, you are hiring them to produce sales. And if you're in the treatment room, you're actually costing your business more, because who's doing the marketing? Who's doing the customer service? Who's driving the ship in the direction it needs to go? But really especially for you solo business owners, especially if you're just starting out, the thing you want to consider is there some place better that my time should be spent, and things that maybe I can hand off. The first thing I handed off was actually hiring a housekeeper. Why? Because I could pay them $15 an hour to clean my house, while I either took a client and I had an $80 an hour price point. So even when I paid them $25 to clean my, or $15 an hour to clean my house, I could spend that hour either doing the marketing of the business, I could spend that time with my family, which was a high value to me, or I could take a client.
Yep.
Right? Same thing with, I still haven't found somebody to do this. I had it when I first had my son, but somebody come in and do my laundry. Oh my God. Do you know?
There's an app for it now.
What?
It's called Poppin'. Guys, it's amazing. We do it for the salon now. I don't have to lug all the blankets up and down.
Oh, I'm just talking about my underwear.
No, but they'll do it for your house too.
That's amazing.
They'll come and they'll do it. And they'll
it's such a game changer when you open a drawer and somebody else has put it away. Otherwise, it's just like laundry everywhere. So there's ways to outsource. I know. We'll put a link in the bio, because I'm like, oh. Yeah. There are ways to outsource things for you to get your time back. So either, yes, you can work, or you can get your time back. Because here's the thing. You can work 20 hours a day, but why do you want to? Right? I don't want to. I got into a business so that I can have flexibility with my schedule. And I understand that a lot of you are appointment based, and that is great. Have boundaries around it. Have a set working schedule, and don't work outside of that. Because here's the thing that I think most people kind of miss, and this is a strategy we teach inside the Lashpreneur Society. When you have more demand for your time than you have time available, your time is worth more. So for those of you who are like, oh, is it the right time to raise my prices? Well, if you're working 7 days a week, 12 hours a day, you have a lot of availability, therefore less demand. But if you're working 3 days a week, 4 clients a day, you're going to get fully booked much faster. Therefore, you're going to have wait list building. You're going to have more demand for what you offer. So you actually are in control of being able to raise your prices. Yeah. So it's a supply and demand thing. So I wouldn't say, and I think for longevity's sake, max 5 days a week, although I prefer 4 for lash artists specifically, or even waxers. It's very physically demanding, and no more than maybe 4 or 5 clients a day.
Yeah.
I don't know about you. What was your max clients a day before? She's allergic to the adhesive.
Yeah.
So,
before I went through the whole mindset of like, let me just get as many as I can in there. I was like 5 or 6, and now I'm like 3.
Yeah,
3 or 4.
Before I was good, right? And I was doing mostly a hybrid or volume set, so they were anywhere from 75 minutes to 90 minutes. At 5, I wanted to shake someone with the tweezers. So my fully booked was 4 days a week, no more than 4 clients a day. And when I started getting, I would have 1 week that would get fully booked at that. And then that would start to roll over into the next week. So I actually got fully booked fairly quickly in my business. And then I started raising my prices as soon as I got to most of my weeks fully booked. So I was able to raise my prices earlier on than maybe somebody who was available 5 days a week, 7 or 8 clients in a day, because you need more clients at that point.
That's one thing. When I first started, it was 3 days. It was only 3 days a week.
Yeah.
And then we went to 4 days a week, and that's where we're at now.
Yeah.
Just 4 days. And it's true. It's taxing on our body. It's, you know, our work and everything. So we're Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday, and that's it.
Yeah. I love it when people message me. They're like, well, I'm really fully booked, and, you know, I'm working 5 days a week, and I'm taking like 8, 9, 10 clients a day, and I just can't raise my prices because I'm already the most expensive here. I'm like, hell yeah, you should raise your prices. I don't care what everybody else is charging. They're not paying your bills, and they also don't produce the results and the experience that clearly is creating enough demand for you to have that level of busyness. I say pull back on your hours and raise your prices. Maybe not in that exact order, but see how it goes. Anytime you change something in the business, give it a month to kind of let your clientele settle into the new change. Have you ever done a price increase?
Yeah.
Did you lose all of your clients? Did they just poof?
No. Honestly, my first price increase, very first time I started doing lashes, I was really good with the technique, everything, got it down pat. I undersold myself. Yeah. So got full really quick, and then it was that kind of like nervousness, like I don't want to lose them, but I followed through the Lashpreneur Society for my very first one.
What to do? And you're fully booked.
Nothing happened. Like didn't drop off anybody, nothing like that. Second one was when I got like the brick and mortar place, and I think that one maybe 1 or 2 clients, but it doesn't matter. Yeah. Because now we've got so many more people, and we've done actually 3.
Now she has 3 team members. Yeah. So let's talk about the number side of it, because that's really what this conversation leads to. Is these are not just strategies just to pull out of a hat. These are not things that you do just because you feel like it. We actually track specific numbers in the business to know when it's the right time to do something like a price increase, whether it's time you need to market and by how many clients. We have very specific strategies that we teach inside of our programs to help you know what decision needs to be made. So for example, with a price increase strategy, usually what we look at first and foremost, at least in the Lashpreneur Society, which is our program that helps you go from overlooked to fully booked as a solo provider, we look at, are you set up to break even at a very conservative level of clients? Break even means that the amount of sales you generate from a small clientele will help you cover your operating expenses. Because if you're not priced at that, like if you're doing a $35 an hour classic fill, chances are you're never going to be at the point where you'd be able to pay yourself, much less cover your expenses. So we look at, are you set up to break even within, I would say, a month or 2 of opening up your business, or even if you have a clientele right now, are you at least breaking even? Because if you're not, then we need to readjust your price point now before we start building a bunch of clients, because they're going to get locked in at that lower price, and you're going to have a much harder time getting current clients to increase how much they can afford, as opposed to marketing yourself at a higher price point. So no matter who comes in, they never thought there was a lower price to begin with. So you have a much easier time having a higher price and discounting as needed, rather than having low prices and trying to slowly $5 at a time get your current clientele up to a profitable level.
And one thing too that came to mind when you said to raise, don't ever keep anybody at the same.
Oh, the grandfather pricing.
I did that. I
Or
did that.
7 different levels of
I was
clients.
like, these are people that have been with me from the very beginning. It will be
emotional pricing.
it'll be a VIP clientele list. Well, that's all fine and dandy when it was just me doing the service. Not really, right? But then I realized this is not going to work when we have a team. And then it's like, okay, well, they're going over to that team. Doesn't make sense because they're paying a discount, yet you still have to pay for the team. And
I don't think it works for a solo provider either.
No, it doesn't. But in my
you
mind,
get resentful of like, oh, this
Yeah.
is the discounted client rather than somebody who could be paying full price.
100%,
Yeah.
you do, yeah. But in my mind, at that time, I was like, oh, it'll be fine. That's me showing, my gratitude to them for staying with me.
Your gratitude for them is that you give them good results.
Yeah.
You don't owe them any more than that.
And guess what? When we removed it, they still didn't leave.
Uh-huh.
So I was like, what?
Did any of them complain about it?
None.
Yeah.
None.
I do hear that people complain, but guess what? If they still come back and they pay, then they're just giving lip service. Look at the behavior, not what they say.
Yeah.
Yeah, so back to the price increase strategy. So once you've got, when you've got a price point that you stand a chance of actually making some money when you start to get fully booked, we generally recommend that we call fully booked 80% productivity. It's a specific formula that we teach, but basically out of the 100% of hours you work in a week, if 80% of those hours are with a paying client, we would consider you fully booked. And as long as you're fully booked for anywhere from 2 to 3 months, so at that 80% productivity, that's when we recommend doing a 20% price increase. Now, I know that's a lot of numbers. And I know some people are kind of glazing over, like, what, percentage points? Math is not my strong suit. I suck at math. I was never good at math. Finances, blah. Budgeting, blah, blah. I call it a spending plan because I don't like the word budget. However, you run a business. You run a business likely to make money. Otherwise, it's a hobby. And you likely want a little bit more time freedom and not work 7 days a week, 12 hours a day. In order to do that, we have to have some understanding of how money coming in and money going out of our business works so that we can actually curate and make our business start to be financially rewarding and be able to have some flexibility with time off, right? Having time off, having a quality of life outside of work, kind of important things.
Look at what we're doing right now.
We're on vacation
Yes.
in Gatlinburg, Tennessee with our kids and doing a little bit of a live and then going back to Water Park. Because we manage businesses. So we know our finances and we spend a lot of time in our finances. I was a self-proclaimed bad at math, sucked at numbers, all of that until 2019 when the Lashpreneur started doing $30,000 a month and I still wasn't able to pay myself. And I went, something ain't right here. What's going on? The math ain't mathin'. And I decided in 2019 that I would become a student of understanding business financials because I was doing really good at sales, but I was not doing good at managing the rest of the numbers. So I was spending more than I was making. Yeah, that's right. I was spending over $30,000 a month to maintain the business. That meant there wasn't anything left for me to pay myself. So that was not working. So I literally spent the last 4 years just still learning about numbers, but I've gotten to a really good place and now I teach other people. She got me a mug a couple months back that says a freak in the sheets, and it was a spreadsheet mug because I love spreadsheets because it helps me organize the data to really make good informed decisions in the business. Where the pain point was that I really started to focus in on the numbers is when I shut down the Lashpreneur in 2021 because it was too heavy, too emotional. I didn't have a team that could help me get through the pandemic. And I was micromanaging everything and I was miserable because I was making emotion-based decisions in the business rather than looking at the numbers to have the business tell me what it needed. You ever had an experience like that?
When have I not had an experience like that?
The first 2 hires, maybe?
Yeah. Gosh, Jiminy Crickets. Everything was emotional based for me for so long. Within the business, and it's like you put your own perspective, your own understanding into a situation that maybe has a completely different perspective, something that has nothing really to do with you, or for me a big trigger was like disrespect, and then that in general was just how to handle a team, but then also there's emotion based in spending too, of like, oh,
I gotta get the new hottest thing.
Yes.
Or I got to have this beautiful chandelier and this, oh God.
shiny object.
I had somebody who spent, they weren't tracking their numbers. Fairly common, totally normal if you are. Not something we want to maintain and continue though. She spent $1,100 on a really beautiful chair for the lobby. But she wasn't paying herself. And I said, okay, well, let's ask this question. How did that $1,100 expense help grow your business? She's like, it didn't. How did it improve the client experience so that you were retaining clients more? Well, it didn't. Okay, so we just spent $1,100 that had no impact in the business. Wouldn't that $1,100 paying yourself? Couldn't a $200 chair done just the same job? And she's like, yeah, probably. So we're just doing emotional spending because it was a really pretty chair. And look, we can judge her all you want, but I bet y'all can go look at what you've spent money on and go, yeah, that probably didn't have anything to do with the business and the business growing or the business needs. Your business needs an audience to sell things to, and then you keep them coming back. That's as simple as it gets. Anything that we're doing outside of that probably is an emotional spend or just not something that you need to be spending money on. Because I'd rather you guys be really, really amazingly financially stable personally. And then if you want to get a little loosey-goosey with your financials in the business or spend on whatever, have emotional spending, great. But not until you are financially stable personally first, which means that the business has to be stable as well. Yeah.
Huge. I remember I have a picture from when very first check I ever paid myself.
Oh.
And it was $250.
Well, you got to start somewhere.
Yeah. And I was so proud in that moment, and I still have it, and it's cute because now I look back at it, and then like, of course,
Such a proud moment.
yeah. And then it was like, you know what? Now on payroll, I don't even have to think about it.
Yeah.
It's all taken care of because I know my numbers, and it's just all included within it, and it's changed.
Oh God, what is that?
Don't tell me it's another one of those things.
Jesus. We're in like the bug capital.
We got these, like, I don't know what, I've never seen them in my life before. They've got wings and they look like daddy long legs with like a mix of like,
like bats. Yeah, I know. Okay. Anyways, back to the focus. Somebody did ask a question though. They asked what our thoughts are on charging fills by weeks rather than a one set price. So again, when we go back to the database decision making, and this is where, I mean, as coaches, for us to be able to coach the hundreds of students that we have in our programs, we have to really dig into the financials to help answer the question. It would first and foremost be, well, why is that? Why are we making that decision? Because there's usually a result before a strategy. So there's usually a result we're trying to get to that people come up with all these questions, which are really strategy based. That question in particular is a strategy, right? So a strategy of switching over from
one set price
to instead of by weeks, by time, what is it we're trying to achieve with that? So if you're still watching, you can ask that, or you can answer that, but it's what is the goal we're trying to get to? Usually what I see when that type of question is being asked, sorry, there's something making noise over here and it's freaking me out.
Yeah, I'm waiting for like something to just jump out at us.
Usually when that question is being asked, it has to do with my clients XYZ. Like the clients aren't getting the results, or the clients are not booking the right appointments, so it gets a lot of managing of things, or clients aren't having the retention, and so let's just charge everybody the same price. We just had this in our Society Accelerator call where somebody was wanting to charge the set price for just time. She wanted to do all her full sets and they could choose classic, hybrid, volume, or mega volume, but it was all one price, one set time. And to me, the way that I look at pricing is when we have something like from a classic to a hybrid, or a hybrid to a volume, or a volume to a mega volume, you are getting clients different results at each level. And they have different needs that they meet. And there's different skill sets and experience for each level. So why would we only equate the value that we give to a client, the time that it spends to get various different results? Right? So if a classic client has a lot of natural lashes and they're just looking for a little bit of curl and a little bit of a mascara look, great. But if somebody has really sparse lashes that classic is only enhancing what they have and it's not their desired result, then it requires more product, yes, but that's nominal. It's more skill set. It is more time involved with that usually. And it is a better, more increased result. So why would we discount our skill sets? So I saw this, there's a guy named Chris Dew, and I don't know if I've talked to you about him, but he has a really great viral video that's been on TikTok, YouTube, and Instagram where I think he teaches graphic designers how to like price themselves. And he said, okay, so if I took a month to get you this beautiful logo, it's amazing, and I charged you $1,000 for it, is that good or is that bad? And the guy's like, hey, that's normal, like whatever. And he said, okay, if I took 2 weeks to do it, is that more valuable or less valuable? And he said, it's more valuable. I said, why? because it took you less time. Okay, so when I'm charging by time, then I have to charge more to get to the 4-week result, but really the value is having it done in less time because there's more skill and experience in completing the same result in less time. So when we're doing something like hybrid, volume, mega volume, those take different skill sets. So why would we charge the same as something that doesn't take as much time or something that doesn't require as much artistry or skill?
So true.
Plus, I always look at it as increasing, like opportunities to increase sales per client. So for example, if a hybrid client comes in, well, this is perfect timing, thank you. A hybrid client comes in and they are not happy with the result, they want it fuller, isn't that an opportunity to upsell them to volume to get to the result they want? Why would you give away more time and more product and more skill set for the same price rather than upsell them to get them the result that they want? Especially when you have a team, you want to give your team upsell opportunities so they can generate more sales as well. Anything to say about that?
And that is where generating more sales is going to come, is the fills, not really the full sets. It's them constantly coming back. So if you're constantly having, client A, client B, client A is coming back for just $50 each fill, but client B is always coming back $75, wouldn't you want all of them at that $75 cost? And how, as long as that matches with their desired looks and their needs, and I'd always want to upsell. As long as it falls within and you're not overselling on someone, if they don't want that desired look.
Yeah, stop giving away your skill, stop giving away your time. D's Lashes says, some clients come in at 3 to 4 weeks and others are 2 weeks. So maybe it's more fair to have more or less time depending on what they need. So here's the thing. And I'll just share how I price in my business because it worked amazingly well. I did a 2 to 3 week fill and a 4 to 5 week fill. Now I had no problem getting clients to 3 weeks. If your retention is a little bit struggling, if people can't go 3 weeks, move it to a 1 to 2 week fill or a 3 to 4 week fill. You are technically charging by time in that you should have structured, standardized service times for every service. But what I don't like in that is, so if you did like a 60-minute fill versus a 75-minute fill versus a 90-minute fill, back to that charging for time, if I can get you the same result in 15 minutes less time, but you're used to getting a 90-minute fill and that's what you're paying for, but I'm done 15 minutes early, am I not operating in integrity by trying to push out and fluff around and pretend like I'm working those last 15 minutes just to make it to that time? Because a client might be upset if you're stopping early, but they're paying for a 90-minute fill. Whereas if you get better at your skill set, you get faster at your application, should you be penalized by not charging as much because it's time-based? Now, when we go to a 2 to 3 week fill, that is time since their last appointment. So you're charging for how well their retention is, which is partly on you and partly on them. It is teamwork. And you should be setting that expectation in the consultation that I'm going to do everything I can in the treatment room to make sure you're getting the best results. And your responsibility is to make sure that you're cleaning your lashes and taking care of them at home. Also a great upsell opportunity. Hold on, I think my phone might overheat. Also a great upsell opportunity to sell lash cleansers, right? Yeah. So if they come back at 2 weeks with great retention, but they go 3 weeks and it's not so great retention, then we might talk about they need to be on the frequency of 2 weeks. If some clients can go 3 weeks and some go 2, maybe they're not taking care of their lashes the same. We shouldn't penalize the 3 week people for taking care of their lashes, right? But if it's ways to manage client expectations and also you be the expert and authority trying to get clients to maintain their lashes rather than you always being the one that has to make up for a client's bad behavior. Oftentimes when clients are getting poorer results compared to other clients is because they're doing something at home, not necessarily because your application is different, because you're the common denominator between the 2 week clients and the 3 week clients. So they need to be following your aftercare instructions in order to get the same types of results. This is all database stuff, man.
That education all starts with the consultation.
Yep.
That all needs to be talked about right then and there first throughout the service. That is the time that you actually want to be talking about any lash cleanser, any retail items during the consultation, during the service. You'll have that lull in a service where you're kind of like, what we do is when we're first setting them up and we're getting them ready to cleanse their lashes and prime their lashes, that's when we'll kind of talk about, pay attention to the amount of pressure that we're putting on your lashes when we're cleaning. This is what's going to be expected of you for aftercare. Like you said, we'll do the very best we can. Our application, our process, all that. We'll do 50% here and 50% aftercare is on you. Let's make sure we follow those. And it's a great upsell, every single full set, selling that cleanser with it too.
Yeah, stop enabling adults. If a client's not going to wash their lashes, and they don't get great
Really good about
retention, I'm not going to make it okay for them.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like, I'm going to do my best work. And if they're going to complain to me that the lashes aren't lasting, and granted, you need to make sure that your application is on point, but I don't think we're referencing that side of it. But if they do not have great retention, but they're unwilling to buy a lash cleanser and they're unwilling to take care of their lashes, I'm going to be very direct with them and say, most of my clients go 3 weeks and they clean their lashes. So they're able to get more time out of their bills.
We just had a client that was being serviced by one of our team members, and one of our team members needed, I'm really big, make sure you get your full lunch. She had 10 more minutes, and I was like, you know what, let me just take you on back. I'm going to go ahead and get your lashes primed, washed, and get you set up ready. That way your team member can, or our team member can just come in and start servicing her. And I heard her talking to that team member out in the lobby, and she goes, oh no, Victoria's gonna scold me. She
I didn't wash my lashes.
Yeah, she's like, oh, my lashes are dirty, and like freaking out. And I heard our team member like, oh, it's okay, it's fine, don't worry about it. We get back there, and I was like, so your lashes are dirty, we're gonna need to clean them. And but it was funny because the team commented on it, how you said being stern. They were laughing because they were like, every client knows when Victoria means business. Mm-hmm. Like when I come in there and I'm like, okay, so this is our expectations and this is what we need
it's not
from
even
you.
stern.
And,
I don't know that I've ever seen you stern.
It's not stern. It's just, it's direct.
Educational.
It's direct. It's education. Like, hey, if you're not doing this, and this is one of the biggest things that we tell our clients, listen, I don't want you to invest so much time. I don't want you to invest so much money into something that you're not going to take care of your investment, because this is what it is. It's a luxury service. Yeah. It's not something you need, but it makes you feel beautiful. It makes you feel good. It's so much stuff that it does for you. Yeah. It is a luxury. So you're investing in yourself, and invest in yourself all the way. We don't want you to not get the best out of the service and it not,
Yeah, that's more emotional decision making when you're letting a client make you feel bad, because it is a partnership to make sure that clients are getting the results. And yes, and we are all for taking 100% responsibility for the results that you have in your business. Mm-hmm. Which also means being able to communicate and draw a healthy boundary when a client is taking advantage of you. Or a lot of times I think what ends up happening is there's not a lot of backbone for people running in this industry. And I don't mean that in a disparaging way. I mean that because they don't know their numbers, they're so afraid to lose a client because they think that they're turning away sales. There's this fear of like, I'm pushing away sales, or I'm leaving so much money on the table is what I hear a lot of times too. Mm-hmm. But chances are you may not need to increase sales. In fact, a lot of the first things we address when you join one of our programs is not necessarily increasing your sales, although that may be one of the things you need to do. Oh God, are you guys okay? Sorry, it just fell. It may be
guys okay.
We got to focus on profitability. That is the only number that you need to really track in your business, because you can either increase sales, decrease expenses, or the combination of the two. And I'm going to go really in depth on knowing which one you need to do and how to increase your profitability, which means increasing your pay, in my Know Your Numbers Masterclass, which is happening Sunday, September 10th. It's a live 2-hour training. Yes, it will be recorded. Yes, you will have replay access for life. We have it on sale right now. Normally it's $49. We've got it on sale until next Saturday at $19. So if you want to start making database decisions, if you want to know your numbers so that you can at least have some backup to know that you don't have to, and we don't recommend firing clients, but you don't have to keep enabling clients. You don't have to get walked all over by clients. You'll know what price point to charge. You'll know whether you need to increase your prices, whether there's opportunities to decrease expenses, how to look at, do I build a clientele? Do I not build a clientele? How many clients do I need? All of that data really, really helps you to make great decisions as a business owner rather than the emotional ones. Because it's really stressful to run a business based off of emotion. Hashtag been there? Have you been there?
Yeah, we have.
Yeah, it's not fun. Yeah. It's not fun.
And here's the thing with this, your master class that you have going on is phenomenal, because your time is going to pass in your business. Mm-hmm. Anyways, whether you take it or you don't, you're still going to do it. But if you take it and you invest in yourself, how much better are you going to be in 2 to 3 months? I mean, within, gosh, what was it? 2 months of just working with you, we hit our first 10K month. Yep. And now I look at like a 10K month and I'm like,
that's low.
That's so low. Like I would never want to be there anyway again, And it's implementing what you're learning, investing in yourself, because learning from somebody who has already been through, how much easier could you get? she just laid it all out. It's all structured.
Oh, this
it's
is not stuff you're taught in beauty school.
No.
Right?
You're not at all. And that's what you would think you would get taught.
Oh, no. I went to the Harvard of beauty school is what they labeled themselves, and they had business-specific training, and I talked about this in the last podcast
I just
episode.
listened to it, too.
Yeah, I inadvertently got the business teacher to quit. My bad. I asked a question about debt that he didn't like. So we did have a question. I am starting out new all over again in my business. Do I still need this or not till I have clients? Well, do you ever want to pay yourself? Then you need this class. No matter what level you're at in business. Now, I will say in our mid-level coaching program called Society Accelerator and our mastermind, we have a very in-depth financial trainings. So if you guys are in those programs, or those that are watching, you have a much more advanced version of this. This is really for those that are new to business, those that just basically, if you're not paying yourself, if you want to be able to take home more, if you want to be able to know what numbers to look at to be able to get them to go in a good direction, if you are somebody who avoids looking at your bank statements, if you're just like ostriching your business, which means your head in the sand and you're flying blind and you don't know whether you need more clients or you can't keep clients or you don't know how much to charge or whether you should charge an after hours fee or a cancellation fee, anything having to do with not knowing what decision to make in your business, you're going to want to join this class because knowing your numbers helps you make data-based decisions in your business as opposed to emotional ones.
100%.
So a long way of saying, yeah. Will the class teach the number for the beginner? Has nothing to do with whether you're beginning or advanced. I promise you that. It is knowing what number to focus on and how to improve that number. I'll give you a spoiler alert. It's profit. It's being able to track your profit consistently. It's being able to know what impacts, how to make decisions to impact profitability, because your pay as the owner is going to come from profitability. So you have money coming into your business by way of sales, money going out of your business by way of expenses. And if you are spending more than you're making, you have no profit. You personally cannot pay yourself. If you have the same, you're spending the same and you're making the same, you're breaking even. And if you spend less than you make, then you have profit, and that's where your pay come from. And I feel like most people, well, no, I don't feel it. I know it, that most people aren't able to track that consistently to have any idea. They're just kind of like basing it off of, they go into their bank account and they're like, I need to pay my personal bills. I've got $600 of bills that I need to pay personally, so I'm just going to transfer it over. And then they wonder when tax time comes around and they have no money to be able to pay the taxes, or they didn't know they owe taxes. So there's not a lot of good financial practices happening. We're going to teach you the financial practices. We're going to teach you what numbers to track. We're going to teach how the numbers impact. And we're going to teach you what strategies you should be focusing on in a 90-day period or less to be able to improve those numbers. Because that's the thing I think. People want the instant gratification, especially when it comes to money. They make very scarce decisions. They're emotional discounting. All of these things happen frequently. Yet that's not actually helping your business grow. In fact, some of you may have had that experience where you're like, I need to run a discount. I need to run a sale and get a bunch of clients in. And then you're like, that didn't work. I need to post on Instagram twice a day for 30 days. And you do that. And then you're like, I got some clients in, but they didn't stay. And you can see sales growing, but then you're not retaining any of that money. So all of those things, you keep throwing things against the wall, but you're not able to pay yourself more. So we're going to break it down as simply as humanly possible. And the reason why I'm teaching this at such an intro level is because I've learned a way to teach it that is so bite-sized that people are like, oh, that makes total sense. Oh, I have clarity. I just need to focus on this rather than all the things. And it'll really help you get some clarity. Will this work with a makeup artist as well? It depends. Will it work with a makeup artist? I'm going to think about that. Will the class teach number? Okay. When it comes to makeup artists, well, that is a service base.
If she's charging by time.
Actually, I think it will, because it isn't specific to one particular beauty service. It isn't specific to lashes. We'll give examples. So what I teach is business strategy. No matter what service you provide, it's more service-based. The examples I use are lash artists. Now, this is going to be a live class. Yes, it will be recorded. But for you specifically, Kathy, I might show up to the live and ask those questions. It really is the financial side of running a service-based business, not necessarily like the lash artist side of things. Because again, if you're not profitable as a makeup artist, then what's the point? I just don't know if you're not doing this, because makeup artistry can somewhat be a little bit hard to have a lot of consistency if you don't have a lot of demand. But here's my guarantee. If this class does not help you know if your business is profitable or not, I can't guarantee your business is profitable, right? That's on you. But if you don't know if your business is profitable or not, and you don't know the next thing to focus on to make your business more profitable, I'll refund you your money. You can just email us, no questions asked. We have a 365-day refund period. So like 6 years from now, somebody isn't coming asking for a refund. But like, I'm so confident how I teach this stuff. if it doesn't work for you, you can refund your money and you'll get to keep the replays and the workbook on me. Like my whole goal is to make sure that this gets in as many hands as possible because this is not taught in our industry. I find that people are getting burned out. They're not paying themselves and they're getting out of the industry, and that breaks my heart. And I really want people to be able to pay themselves in this industry. Like it's a lot to be a business owner.
That's the reason you went into being a business owner in the first place, is to be your own boss, to be able to pay yourself, to be able to give yourself financial freedom, family freedom, and all of that stuff. Yeah. And then when you get into it and you're unable to, I mean, it's sad. It's not that you're unable to.
Right.
You can.
You can be making good money in this industry working very part-time. And I want people to be able to have that choice, right? And some of that you have to, if you're running a business, that is your responsibility to be a financially savvy business owner. And I know it's not taught. Look, I'll be clear. I went to college for business management way back in the day. I took one accounting class that, I'll be honest, I skipped most of the time. Hope my mom isn't watching. And I learned more in actually diving in and learning and becoming a student of business through my own experience and learning from mentors than I did in any sort of college class. I am mobile, so I feel this is very important for me, and I have not been able to figure it out. Oh, awesome. Yeah. Oh, if you're mobile, that comes with a whole other slew of things because there's a lot of your time that's spent in the travel aspect of it. And I find that most mobile people, they end up thinking that they should charge less, but you need to be charging like almost triple or more of the rates that somebody who has a brick and mortar because you're offering convenience for a client.
Bye, Susie.
Bye, Susie. Aw, former mastermind member Susie. Yeah, so when you start to track your numbers, so my experience of it is when I really started to focus in on profitability and checking in on profitability the last year specifically, we increased profitability by 400% because I was tracking it and I was doing the things that increased that number. Increased 400%.
I was going to say, you know what? It gets fun. It gets addicting.
It's a game.
It is. And the first, for me, the hardest thing was the spreadsheets. Like, I used to love math, good at math. I can handle that. The spreadsheets, I was like, what am I doing? That's why she's the freak in the spreadsheets.
Oh yeah, we have all the formulas in there. You don't need to
do it all. She could do it all for you.
Oh, I have a dream income calculator. I don't think I'm going to show you that after this. I'm teaching a dream. I made an entire calculator, so all you have to do is plug it in like a normal calculator, and it spits out. What? I know. I'm going to be introducing that in the class.
Now I even forgot where I was going with that.
Sorry, you were talking spreadsheets.
Now I'm like,
we make it fun.
Yeah.
Increase profit by 400%.
That's what it is. Yeah. Yes. So once you understand your numbers and you know it, that's when it actually gets fun. It's not something that you dread looking at. Like, I get excited. August is just done, and usually, within the next couple of days, I like to do my profit and loss for that month. I packed it all up. It's with me right now.
Oh, we're going to go do that. That's our fun.
So that's why I was like, I'm not working this weekend, but I'm working because it's fun to me. It's enjoyable. I'm like, oh, I can't wait to see where we're at. Where are our numbers? What's our profit? What are we looking like from this year to last year, even from last month?
And what's next?
Projecting for next month? What are we going to do in quarter 4? Like, it's fun. It gets fun once you understand it, and then you can look forward to it. And when you, like, for all those just starting out, if you're not profitable, it's not a bad thing. You
ignoring your financials isn't going to make you more profitable.
No, but now you understand where you're at and you can build from there.
Yeah.
So don't be nervous if you're like, oh, well, I'm not, profitable. I should just hide from it all.
Yeah.
Don't hide from it. Learn from it. Understand it. And that's when you can go forward and plan out.
Yeah.
It's fun.
There's going to be some money mindset talk too, because people get really heavy and place a lot of meaning on something that they honestly didn't ever learn how to do. So if you have this belief that I'm not good with money, it is so common. And especially in our industry, because usually in our industry, it's not like people have gone through the traditional education route where they feel like they're pretty resourceful. It's a lot of creatives, right? And we feel bound, or we feel like too controlling if we have structure or spreadsheets or like processes. But that's where the freedom comes in. So if you have this belief of I'm not good with money or suck at math, that was something that somebody else told you and you believed as truth. We are only born with 2 fears when we are babies. The fear of falling and the fear of loud noises. Any other fear or belief about ourselves is something that we learn from our environment. So we're going to work on some money mindset stuff and poke some holes in those beliefs, because those behaviors of not checking your numbers or making a lot of meaning where you feel ick about it is not serving you to grow your business or be able to pay yourself more. So when it comes to those beliefs of I'm not good with money or I'm bad at math, you're a business owner, and if you ever want to be able to pay yourself consistently or well, We have to get over that stuff and get you some step-by-step so you can start to show progress. Because when you can start to see, even if you're not profitable, it's not a bad thing. You just never learned how to manage those numbers to go in the direction you want. So think about it this way. If you say like, oh my God, I suck at math, or I knew I shouldn't have started a business, and so my dad was right, or my mom was right, that I just don't know what I'm doing. Who am I to do this? Imagine if that's what you said to a baby who was learning to walk for the first time. Do we like scold and shame a baby for falling the first time they try to take a step? No. Why? Because they haven't learned how to do it. They don't have the muscle. They don't have the muscle memory. They don't have the skill. They don't have the understanding of like core strength to not fall over. That's what it's like running a business. You were not taught this stuff, so we don't need to have any shame that you should know any different from something that you've never learned to do. So if you want to learn in a really easy, step-by-step, broken down kind of a way to just start learning how the numbers in your business can actually help you to grow those numbers, that's why we're doing the Know Your Numbers Masterclass. So this will kind of be my last little call to action on it. It is happening live Sunday, September 10th at, I believe, 11 a.m. Pacific time zone. Yes, it will be recorded. Yes, you will have lifetime access to it. Yes, it is $19 until September 9th at midnight. Then the price goes up to $49. And you'll have lifetime access to it. And then if for whatever reason you don't know if your business is profitable or not, and you don't know the steps to take to make your business more profitable, then I will refund your money and you can keep the recordings in the workbook on me. So if you want to join us, you can go to lashpreneur.com/knowyournumbers, or you can DM me on Instagram and I will send you the link to go join, but make sure you join while the price is discounted. Anything else to say, Victoria?
We'll include that Poppin' app for your laundry.
So you can start to outsource more.
Yes.
All right, guys, thanks so much for joining us today. We'll see you next time. Have a good one.
Bye.